Hi, I'm Helen Colebrook, and today I'm going to share with you some ways that you can set up your bullet journal for a new month. So we'll be looking at the welcome page, how to set up a calendar, habit trackers, and then look a little bit at weekly and daily planning spreads. So in the magazine you will have seen how to set up a monthly cover page, set up a calendar for the month, a gratitude log and a habit tracker, and I'm going to show you that habit tracker in a bit more detail and how to create this pattern, and also show you in my bullet journal that I'm using at the moment how those spreads start to look once they've been filled in. So these are my pages for May, and you can see here that my calendar then I start to fill in with any dates and deadlines. And here I set some of my tasks for the month ahead that I know I really want to keep an eye on and make sure that they're all done in good time. And this bottom box I use for social media, but you could use this for anything you like. It could be personal or craft projects, anything that you want to make sure you focus on in the month ahead. And this is my gratitude log. Every evening I spend a few moments just reflecting on my day and writing down some of the things I'm really grateful for. So by the end of the month I should have a nice complete page. I just use some different colours and different themes every month, and I find that this is a really good way to boost your mood at the end of an evening. If you've had a long day and maybe things have got you down, actually sitting down and thinking, yeah, there's some really great things that I'm grateful for to have in my life. So that's what I use this for. And my habit tracker will walk through how to set this up. And you can pick which habits you really want to track throughout the course of a month. And these will be different for everybody. You might decide to have lots or just pick 2 or 3 things. And then you can just complete each box every day that you complete that habit. And you could use a pattern like I do, or you could colour it in or simply tick inside that box. After my habit tracker I have a master task list, and this is where I write down everything that's in my head that I need to get done. So it's kind of like a brain dump, but I break it into different sections. So I have things I need to get done for work, personal tasks, creative things I'm working on, and also social media posts. And it just means that if they're not things that I need to get to right now, at least I know they won't be forgotten. They will all get written here with a date next to them if they're going to be time critical. And then when I set up my pages for that week, I can look for any tasks I need to take across. One of my favourite pages in my bullet journal is my Reasons to be Proud page. And this is something I set up a while ago. It was after I read a really good book that was saying how important it is to recognise your own achievements and not to always kind of bring yourself down, and we tend to get in a habit of having very critical self-talk. So every evening I write my gratitude log and then my reasons to be proud. So I just look at a few things, and they don't have to be big things at all, that I can just be proud of and think, yeah, actually, no, even if a load of things went wrong, there's still some things there that I should be proud of myself for. Notes here tends to be if I'm watching perhaps something on YouTube or looking through a magazine and some ideas spring to mind of things I'd like to do, or perhaps products I want to look into. I jot all of those down here. And I use my bullet journal for all sorts of things. So these are some pins on Pinterest, a packing list that I needed for a workshop that I was running. And this is my weekly spread. So in here I've got the days of the week, and this is for my events. So anything that I've got coming up, again, that's got a deadline on it, or meetings or phone calls that are scheduled in, I write down here. On here I plan out my meals. I keep it quite simple for each day, for breakfast, lunch and dinner, and that helps me get a bit more organised with doing the shopping and knowing what I'm going to cook each evening. These are the tasks that I want to get completed throughout the week. Here I've got a mini healthy habits tracker, and I've just written down some letters: E for exercise, W for water, M for meditation and H for healthy eating. And in here I write down how many minutes I've spent exercising every day, and then put a little cross for every time I feel I've been able to achieve that habit on any particular day. And here is where I write down any tasks that I know I didn't get to this week, so I need to tackle the next week, or anything that I know I've got coming up. And behind those I always then have my daily pages, and I really like using a bullet journal rather than perhaps a pre-printed planner, because I never know how much space I'm going to need on any particular day. If I've got a whole day in the office, there might be lots and lots of tasks that I want to work through, or it could be that I'm going to be out at meetings for most of the day, and realistically I probably only need then 2 or 3 lines. And so each evening I just sit down and write a list of the things that I want to get done the next day. And I find actually that also helps me get to sleep in the evenings, because I'm not worried about everything, because it's all written on here. And this could be a mixture of absolutely anything. It could be to do with family commitments, work, creative things. So any tasks all get written in here together. And I follow the same system and just use different colours, different washi, different designs for each week. And I love adding some brush lettering. I think it really helps your days to stand out and gives your journal a little bit more of a kind of personal design to it. So the next thing we will do is we will look at how to create that habit tracker, and also the pattern if you want to recreate this in your own journal. So now we're going to set up your habit tracker, and you'll need certainly a pen to be able to just write down the dates and the habits that you want to track. For my brush lettering that I will use for my title across the top, I'm going to use a Tombow Fudenosuke with a firm nib. And then you can add any other decoration you like. I will be using some washi tape on my page. Okay, so with the habit tracker, the first thing I do is write the title across the top of the page. And this is where I'll be using the Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen, and this is the one with a firm nib, but you could of course use any pen that you would like. I like using brush pens because I think it really helps your title to stand out. I give myself lots of space when I write this. I don't like my writing to be too cramped when I'm brush lettering. My habit tracker is something that I really love using every month. I think some people's worry is that they're going to kind of beat themselves up a bit if they don't complete all of the habits. And I really just see it as something which tells a little bit of a story. So if I've not managed to stay on track with perhaps some of my healthy habits, healthy eating, exercise, if that's gone out of the window a bit, then actually usually that's simply just a sign that things have been really busy, and perhaps I need to look at how I can balance my time a little bit better. So once you've got your title across the top of the page, I want to be writing the dates along the line, perhaps a couple down. And I always start from the right hand side and work back, because you don't want to get to the end of the page and realise you haven't left enough space for every day. So I'll start pretty much at the very end of the page and start, so if it's for August, for example, I'll be looking at, so the 31st, you've got 31 days in the month, and then just start writing the dates backwards. And sometimes I like to go through and highlight every Monday. So if the Mondays, for example, fell on the 7th and the 14th, I might like to highlight those, because it can be useful to look for patterns. Are there particular days where kind of you find things harder to stick to than others? That's certainly the case for me. I think I always feel more rested after the weekend, and I start off the week on really, really good form, and by the end of the week you probably see that less and less of my habits are being filled out. But then I just reflect on that at the end of the week and think about what I can do a little bit to improve that for the week ahead. So once you've got those dates written there, the next step is to look at which habits are important to you. So I tend to have quite a range in mine. I've got things like doing a daily tidy, so just making sure that I'm staying on top of the housework, because I don't like being swamped with it all at the weekend. So I'd also be looking at things like healthy eating and exercise. It's also your space to think about, are there some new skills you want to learn, some new creative projects you really want to try? So one of the things I always track is that I've had time to do something creative, and I try and make sure that I do something creative every day, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes, and that could be writing something in my journal, doing some doodling, some lettering, because I know that it's really relaxing and that it's really, really good for me. I also look at things like kind of my personal development. There's things that I want to learn, so that could be reading, podcasts, or watching some YouTube videos on a certain subject. I also look at how focused I've been, so every day I think I've been quite focused, I will mark that off in my habit tracker. But so these could be anything that are important to you. It might be things that you want to track with regards to your family, or even medical things. It's a really good way of just getting a picture over a whole month. And the way that I mark things off in my bullet journal is I do 3 diagonal lines. And on the dotted journals, that makes it really easy. So I just do them across the box. So I do one from corner to corner, and then I do a shorter one either side. And I just then alternate those each day that I complete that task. And then on the line below, they're just going to go in the opposite direction. So if I'd managed to stay on top of healthy eating on the first, but maybe not the second, so you just miss a box for the second and then fill it out for the third. And that's then where you find, by the end of the month, you get a really nice kind of pattern appear on your page. So it looks attractive, but it also starts to tell you that story of how well you're doing, where there's big gaps. So it really helps me just to know which are the things that I need to focus on when I'm starting to put my plans together for that new month. So I really hope you've enjoyed this and you found it helpful, and I hope you're excited to set up and start your own bullet journal.